Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. All right, let's dive into this, because what's going on in Miami right now is way deeper than just a rough start to the season. The Dolphins, a team that came into 2025 with sky-high expectations, are sitting at 1-4, and people are already whispering. Actually, scratch that, shouting about head coach Mike McDaniel's future. After blowing a 17-point lead to the Carolina Panthers, one of the league's weakest teams, the narrative got loud fast. The cameras caught McDaniel walking off the field looking absolutely defeated, shoulders slumped, eyes hollow, as if the entire weight of South Florida was pressing down on him. And let's be honest, in the NFL, when your team collapses like that, the head coach is usually the first one in the crosshairs. But according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, those rumors might be a bit overblown, at least for now. Schefter went on the Pat McAfee show Monday morning, and what he said caught a lot of people off guard. He claimed that despite all the talk, despite the frustration from fans, and despite the team's lackluster start, the Miami Dolphins are not even close to making a coaching change. That's right, not close. Schefter said, "The Dolphins, obviously, have had a disappointing season so far. Everybody knows that you have to win to avoid facing some of these questions. But I don't get the sense that it's happening anytime soon. Could that change? Of course. But ownership has wanted to be patient with it. And that right there gives us a rare look into the mindset of Dolphins owner Stephen Ross. He's known to be ambitious, even impulsive at times. But in this situation, it sounds like he's holding his fire, at least until things completely fall apart. Now, that might come as a surprise because Miami was supposed to be one of those teams finally ready to take the next step. They had the explosive offense, the creative play designs, the star quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa, and a defensive unit that, on paper, could hang with anyone. But what's happened instead? Inconsistency, mental errors, and a team that seems to lose its identity the moment adversity hits. And when you're 1-4 in the NFL, no matter how good your roster looks, all eyes turn to the coach. That's just how this league works. Yet, the fact that ownership is even considering patience suggests they still believe in McDaniel's vision, or at least that they're not convinced a mid-season firing would solve anything. It's also important to understand who Mike McDaniel is. This isn't your old-school, fire and brimstone kind of coach. He's cerebral, quirky, and innovative. He's the guy who talks about play design the way a musician talks about composition. Each route, each motion, each fake crafted like a note in a symphony. When he was first hired, McDaniel represented a breath of fresh air for Miami. He was seen as the offensive mind who could unlock Tua's potential, bring some modern creativity to the Dolphins' attack, and make Miami not just competitive, but entertaining. For a while, that worked. His first season brought flashes of brilliance. The Dolphins were fast, fun, and unpredictable. But as the seasons piled up, the consistency didn't. Injuries, defensive breakdowns, and late-season collapses started to define his tenure. And now, with another slow start, the question isn't just about McDaniel's schemes. It's about his ability to lead. That's the key issue. You can be the smartest guy in the room. You can draw up plays that make defenses look like they're chasing ghosts. But at the end of the day, the NFL is about results. The Dolphins' 29-27 record under McDaniel isn't terrible. It's respectable. But it's not what fans expected when they were promised a contender. And the fact that Miami is staring at the possibility of missing the playoffs for a second straight season has people questioning if this is the ceiling for McDaniel's version of the Dolphins. When a coach's record starts hovering around .500, the patience of owners and fan bases tends to evaporate quickly. Still, Adam Schefter's comments indicate that Stephen Ross is not ready to hit the panic button just yet. And that's interesting because, according to earlier reports, there were supposedly two scenarios that could trigger McDaniel's firing. The first was a total locker room collapse, a situation where players stop buying in and things turn toxic. The second was if the Dolphins completely fall out of playoff contention by midseason. So far, neither of those conditions has been met. The locker room still reportedly believes in McDaniel. Players like Tua, TYREEK Hill, and Jalen Waddle have all publicly backed him, saying the responsibility lies with the team as a whole. That kind of support matters. It can buy a coach time. But time in the NFL is a dangerous currency. You never know when it's going to run out. And that's the fascinating part about the NFL ecosystem. Everything changes at lightning speed. One week you're the genius play caller who redefined offense, and the next you're the scapegoat for everything that's gone wrong. Just ask guys like Brandon Staley or Josh McDaniels. That's the thin line McDaniel is walking right now. He's one bad loss away from another media firestorm, one quarterback injury away from the narrative shifting entirely. But the Dolphins' ownership seems to believe there's still something worth salvaging here. They're betting on stability over chaos, hoping that continuity might finally bring results. That's not an easy decision in today's NFL, where the average coaching tenure feels shorter than a TikTok trend. Let's also not forget the optics of it all. Miami's collapse against the Panthers wasn't just a loss, it was an embarrassment. They were up 17, dominating, and then completely unraveled. That's not just on the players, that's a coaching failure. The adjustments weren't there, the energy evaporated, and the team looked lost in the fourth quarter. For fans watching, it was the same old Dolphins story, hope, followed by heartbreak. When that happens repeatedly, people stop buying into your vision, no matter how creative it is. So, even if ownership is preaching patience, McDaniel's margin for error is shrinking by the week. If you look back, though, this has always been part of Miami's DNA, this push and pull between rebuilding and chasing instant success. Stephen Ross has cycled through coaches faster than most teams change coordinators. Joe Philbin, Adam Gase, Brian Flores. Each came with a promise. Each left with unfinished business. McDaniel was supposed to be the guy who broke that cycle. A young offensive mind, a player's coach, a guy who could modernize the Dolphins. And in some ways, he has. The Dolphins' offensive creativity under him has been among the league's best when everything clicks. But when it doesn't, it feels like there's no backup plan. What's interesting is that while Schefter's report might calm the noise temporarily, it doesn't erase the underlying issues. The Dolphins still have to win football games. They've got a brutal schedule coming up, divisional matchups, playoff-caliber opponents, and no real time to regroup. If they don't turn things around fast, patience might run out faster than expected. Ownership might not want to make a change now, but if the losses keep piling up, public pressure will become impossible to ignore. And in the NFL, perception often dictates reality. There's also the Tua factor. McDaniel's job security is tied directly to his quarterback's performance. Tua started the year strong, but has struggled recently with turnovers and inconsistency. If that continues, critics will start asking whether McDaniel has maximized his quarterback or held him back. And that's a dangerous narrative, especially in today's league, where coaches are expected to elevate their QBs the way Andy Reid did with Mahomes or Sean McVay with Stafford. If Miami finishes the year outside the playoff picture again, people won't just question Tua, they'll question the entire offensive philosophy. At the end of the day, the Dolphins are at a crossroads. They can still save their season. They can still turn this around. But if they don't, the pressure on Mike McDaniel will become unbearable. For now, though, according to Schefter's inside info, McDaniel's seat is warm, but not on fire. Stephen Ross is preaching patience, trying to avoid the chaos of another coaching reset. Maybe he's right. Maybe McDaniel just needs a little more time to right the ship. Or maybe this is the beginning of the end, the moment where promise gives way to the brutal realities of the NFL. Either way, this story is far from over. The Dolphins still have the talent, still have the playmakers, still have the vision that once made them one of the most exciting teams in the league. But vision without results doesn't mean much. McDaniel knows that. Ross knows that. The fans know that. The next few weeks will determine whether this version of the Miami Dolphins can finally live up to the hype, or whether Mike McDaniel will join the long list of brilliant minds who just couldn't make it work in Miami. One thing's for sure, the clock is ticking, and in the NFL, patience always has an expiration date. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? The NFL world woke up this morning to a wave of emotion that nobody saw coming. TYREEK Hill, the Miami Dolphins' explosive superstar known for his lightning speed and swagger on and off the field, made an announcement that left fans, teammates, and even rivals speechless. It wasn't about another jaw-dropping play, not about a record-breaking stat line, and not even about his usual charismatic banter on social media. No, this time it was something much deeper, much more human. something that reminded everyone that behind the helmets and highlight reels, these athletes carry real struggles and emotions. Tyreek Hill's voice trembled as he spoke, his usual confidence replaced with something we rarely see from him: vulnerability. And when he finished, the NFL community was left stunned, with social media exploding in a storm of reactions, messages of support, and heartfelt tributes. For years, Tyreek Hill has been the face of energy, intensity, and entertainment. On any given Sunday, he could turn a simple slant route into a 70-yard touchdown, leaving defenders chasing ghosts and fans screaming in disbelief. His nickname, Cheetah, became more than just a branding term. It was a symbol of fear for opposing secondaries. But the man behind the Cheetah persona showed a completely different side today. During an emotional press conference, Hill addressed rumors that had been swirling for days. There had been whispers about him missing team meetings, about possible off-field issues, and even about family matters that had been weighing him down. Nobody knew exactly what was happening, but when Hill stepped up to the microphone, it was clear that whatever he was about to say wasn't just another headline. It was something that would touch every corner of the league. With tears in his eyes, Hill revealed that he's been battling emotional exhaustion and personal struggles that have been affecting his performance and mental health. He spoke candidly about the toll that fame, pressure, and expectation have taken on him. "I love football more than anything," he began, his voice cracking. "But lately, I haven't been myself. I've been trying to push through, trying to smile for the cameras, but inside, I've been hurting." The room fell silent. Reporters, who usually shout over one another for questions, just listened. It wasn't the kind of statement anyone expected from one of the league's loudest and most confident stars. But as Hill continued, he admitted that he's been considering stepping away from the game, temporarily or even permanently, to focus on his mental well-being and his family. That's when the collective heart of the NFL seemed to skip a beat. Tyreek Hill, one of the most electrifying talents of this generation, talking about walking away. It was almost unthinkable. The Dolphins had built their offense around his unique skill set, his chemistry with Tua Tagovailoa, his ability to stretch defenses, his unmatched acceleration. All of it had been crucial to Miami's recent resurgence as a playoff contender. Losing him, even for a short while, would be devastating. But beyond the X's and O's, beyond the fantasy football stats and highlight reels, this was about something bigger. It was about a man recognizing his limits and daring to be honest in a world that often demands invincibility. Social media lit up instantly. Fans flooded Twitter and Instagram with messages of love and encouragement. Former teammates from the Kansas City Chiefs, including Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, sent public words of support. Mahomes tweeted, "Love you, bro. Always here for you. Take your time. Football will wait." Even rivals like Jalen Ramsey and Stephon Diggs chimed in, showing that when it comes to real life, the competition stops and humanity takes over. The Dolphins organization released a statement shortly after Hill's announcement, emphasizing that his health, mental and physical, would always come first. Head coach Mike McDaniel, visibly emotional in his own press conference, said, "Tyreek has given everything to this team and this game. Whatever he needs, we're going to support him 100%. This is bigger than football." The story has spread far beyond the sports world. Mental health awareness in professional athletics has been a growing topic in recent years, and Hill's openness adds another powerful voice to the conversation. We've seen stars like Dak Prescott, Calvin Ridley, and even legends like Andrew Luck step forward to talk about the unseen battles behind the fame. Hill's situation feels particularly impactful because of who he is, the embodiment of energy, confidence, and showmanship. For someone like that to pause and say, "I'm not okay," it forces everyone to look beyond the touchdowns and trophies. It reminds us that success doesn't shield anyone from pain, and that sometimes the strongest thing a person can do is admit vulnerability. But there's more to this story than just the emotional announcement. Sources close to the Dolphins' locker room say that Hill had been showing signs of fatigue and frustration for weeks. His usually fiery demeanor during practices had turned subdued. Teammates noticed him staying longer after sessions, often sitting quietly by himself on the sideline. Some assumed he was just focused, maybe replaying game footage in his mind. Others feared something deeper was going on. One anonymous teammate reportedly told a Miami beat writer, "You could tell he wasn't himself. TYREEK's the guy who keeps everyone laughing, dancing, hyping us up. But lately, the light in his eyes just wasn't there. That kind of description hits hard, because for fans, TYREEK Hill has always been synonymous with joy and intensity. There's speculation that personal issues may have played a major role in his current emotional state. Hill has been open in the past about the challenges of balancing fame with family life, and he's mentioned how the pressure to constantly perform at elite levels can wear on anyone, no matter how strong they seem. The Dolphins' grueling schedule, constant media attention, and the high expectations that come with being one of the best-paid players in the league only added to that pressure. Insiders suggest that Hill's announcement may not have been impulsive. It may have been building for months, as he tried to juggle everything until he simply couldn't anymore. As the NFL community processes the news, analysts are already debating what this could mean for the Dolphins' season. Without Hill, Miami loses not just their deep threat, but also their emotional spark. He's the player defenses scheme against, the one who changes entire game plans. His absence could ripple through the team in ways that stats don't capture. But surprisingly, fans don't seem to care much about football right now. The overwhelming sentiment online is empathy, genuine, raw empathy. Posts with the hashtag #StayStrongTyreek have gone viral, and fans from all 32 teams are uniting to show support. It's one of those rare moments when the competitive lines of the NFL blur, and everyone comes together for a shared human reason. There's also a deeper cultural moment unfolding here. The NFL, known for its tough guy image and next man up mentality, is slowly evolving. Players like Hill are helping break that mold by speaking openly about emotional struggles. For younger athletes, seeing a superstar like TYREEK Hill step forward like this could be life-changing. It tells them that vulnerability doesn't make you weak, it makes you real. That message might be the most powerful part of this entire situation. Because yes, TYREEK Hill might miss games, he might even step away from football temporarily, but what he's done today could have an impact that lasts far beyond his playing career. As of now, no one knows exactly what comes next. Hill didn't announce an official retirement, but he did say he's taking time to heal and figure things out. That could mean a few weeks, a few months, or maybe more. But regardless of how long it takes, the NFL world will be waiting, not impatiently, but respectfully. Because even though fans love to see him blaze down the field, the most important thing right now isn't how fast he runs, but how well he heals. In a league that thrives on spectacle, TYREEK Hill just gave us a moment of authenticity, raw, painful, and profoundly human. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.